Yes, when it comes to software engineering, one thing wey you go dey hear when na API. Whether you wan know wetin e really mean or you just wan get the slightest idea about wetin e mean, because once you enter software engineering programming, e dey common to dey hear API, API, API. Maybe you dey close to programmers, or maybe you just dey come across those things once in a while, or you wan even go deep into am. I go talk about wetin be API, wetin e dey all about. First of all, API means application programming interface. And most times, people just dey use this word for almost anything, because API by itself means so many things, but most importantly, na two type of things e mean. First, when you hear API first of all, for some softwares, for some programming, for some framework, for some libraries, e get things wey dey call APIs, and most times na just functionalities, na function features wey programmers don build already, na just for you to just call those APIs. So na interface for you to make use of those functions. For web browser, for example, whether Chrome, Safari, in fact, some browsers dey get some kind API, some no dey get. So na through JavaScript, for example, you go make use of those APIs. In this case now, no communication, no networking, and just to write your programming to make use of those APIs straight. But then API also mean software architecture. Na kind of architecture wey dey wey dey decoupled. They call am microservices. That is, e dey into parts, and all of them dey communicate through API over HTTP. That is hypertext transfer protocol. Your websites are all communicate through HTTP. Though other kind of protocol dey like WebSocket, but the most popular one, the easiest one, na HTTP. And na through this HTTP na APIs dey use dey communicate for this kind of apps wey dey decoupled. Now, if you wan communicate with different programming language too, API na one way to use communicate between different programming languages. But then, if no be say you go dey use them directly, you go need to use am through JSON. JSON means JavaScript Object Notation. Na just language, e no get logic, e no get any manipulation. You go write your software for the language wey you want, PHP, Python, C++. The other person too go write im own software for any language wey you want. Now, after you don do calculation for your own software, you go send the data through JSON as API to the other person. The other person too go receive am through JSON as API. So na the two main ways wey APIs dey all about be that. First, just as functionalities for programming language, for framework, for softwares, for libraries. Secondly, APIs na how two softwares dey communicate over HTTP using JSON. JSON na the language wey API dey mostly use. Other languages dey, but na JSON dey common pass.